Hello, and welcome to episode 45 of Flesh and Pod. My name is Abby, and I'm your host. With me, as always, are Logan and Jordan. Logan just got back from the golfing range, so we'll start with him. What did you do in Flesh and Blood this week?
Shot an 87. It was a good 18. Not my best. I played an 81. Wait. Okay. Oh, sorry. Flesh and Blood. Right.
You just wanted to say you shot an 87, didn't you?
No. Again, I shot an 81. Like, I just upgraded drivers. And I have to swing this thing harder than a motherfucker. Am I past the algorithm?
No.
Fuck. Every fucking time. Any rate. So shit. Any rate. So I have to swing this thing really fucking hard because there's 6 grams of extra weight in the head of this bitch. And in order for me to come through correctly, I have to just like put everything into it. Now it rewards me because this pipes it down the fairway and then it's driver wedge putt, which is great. But when I don't, it just sprays everywhere, kind of like a cat pissing outside of a litter box. So yeah, but that's golf talk for this week. Back to Flesh and Blood. I played 2 armories. One was Blitz, and I memed by playing KO. Did not high roll well enough. Although we played a second game, so Patty killed me with Kano. He was living the Storm Strider's dream for a couple more days, and he killed me in one shot on like turn 2. He's like, "Hey, let's play another one." I look at my hand. I'm like, "I think I might be able to turn 0 you." He's like, "Oh God," and then I turn 0'd him, and it was just like, "Okay, yeah, this is interactive." I went like 2 and 2 in that armory, and then played again on yesterday. Yeah, yesterday played Blitz Armory again. Went 3 and 1 with Kasai because I haven't played Blitz in a while, and the Kasai and the Centauri sabers that I have are German that were sitting in the deck. Not a big deal. I know what these cards do, right?
Sure.
No, I don't. I forgot that Centauri Saber pumps when it's being blocked by attack actions.
That's like a big part of it, yeah.
Yeah, and so my KO match, I lost. Now, granted, they did roll out of 7 rolls. They rolled 5 or 6 5 times. I had to block 16 on turn 1 or turn 0. And so there is that, but we were both at 1 at the end of this game. And I completely forgot about the blocking with attack actions part. Went, oh shit, I can't read German. That's bad. And then get and sit down my next game, and I go and Dagon blocks with something, and he's just like, yeah, and then that pumps the saber, right? And I'm like, fuck. Yeah, you right. That sucks. Oh well.
You know what's funny? Like, this isn't a Centauri Saber issue, but like because of the red, yellow, blue like feature of Flesh and Blood, I find myself having to read cards a lot more than I ever did in Magic. Like once a card's been around for a while, in Magic you just know what it does. You know, like very rarely do you need to actually consult the text. But like Flesh and Blood, I have a lot of times where I'm like, let me read this again because there is great diversity in how they template cards, especially older ones. So anyway, sorry, continue with your tournaments. I just had that thought.
No, you're 100% right. Like a lightning bolt deals 3 damage. Like there's no red, yellow, blue, right?
Right.
So you're absolutely right. I can memorize that one. But in Flesh and Blood, you do have that issue. Now, we all know that CNC is a 2 cost that attacks for 6 and blocks for 3, but we always forget about the defense reaction part. Oops.
Yeah, that part doesn't really exist until you don't block and then Trinity react.
Until you have a sink below in your arsenal, that part doesn't work.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no blocks, that's fine. Or you block with like 1 equipment because your sink is going to cover it, and then like, oh, actually, never mind, I'll just like destroy this.
Never mind, I didn't want this anyway. I'm just going to throw this away. Yeet. And so then we had a ton of time left over last night because of Blitz, obviously. And so we just drafted Monarch with a history pack cash draft kicker. And that was kind of fun. Awesome. Yeah, so that was I drafted Leviah for the first time just because I wanted to see if it was any good. Wasn't bad. I mean, deck played pretty well.
Gotcha.
But so yeah, that's all I did. And then kind of just did my normal content routines, listened to some shows, read up on some new cards, read up on some new tech. Had to kind of reimagine a couple of things, but yeah, otherwise not much. Jordan?
You know, I don't think I did anything in Flesh and Blood this week. Honestly, World of Warcraft Classic came out last week, and I wasn't going to play that, and then rediscovered it, and I've put some time into that game this week.
Gang 45 episodes was a really good run, and so we'll see Jordan later.
It's funny because I put out a tweet that was like, somebody please take my computer. I've downloaded World of Warcraft. And Logan instantly knew what this meant for me in Flesh and Blood. I was like, I'm on my way.
I almost got in the car and drove 10 hours to steal your computer.
Yeah, just to take the computer away. Yeah, put some parental advisory locks on it or something.
Well, one, you're giving money to Blizzard right now, which is still run by Bobby Kotick, who is a shit human. So
there's no ethical consumption. There's no such thing as ethical consumption. But you're right. Bobby Kotick is awful. I'll be excited when he's done. So
then I can start playing WoW and like Overwatch and shit. That'll be great.
There you go. Overwatch 2 just came out. Anyway, not those podcasts. I didn't do a lot of Flesh and Blood this week. Generally just kind of kept up with the news since we've last recorded. Banned and Suspended came out, which we'll talk about. So there was a lot of like stuff to read. But I really didn't think too much about the game at all because it's kind of in a lull space. There's not a lot of tournaments coming up that I care about outside of the Brawl, and even then, like, I don't know, WoW. So
you did record Salty Logs, though.
I did. Oh, you know what? You're right. I did record Salty Logs on 983 Media's YouTube channel with Matt Flake DeMarco, with Logan. It was very fun. I had a very good time, and it came out the day of this recording, so you should go watch it.
Yeah, we were told to dress as true thespians, and we both took that to mean completely different things.
Yeah, we did. You wore like your fur coat, and like we both dressed very loudly.
Yes.
We both got that part of the assignment where we both dressed very loudly. But go watch it. That's the spoiler. Go. You're not going to guess either of them. I guess you fur coat with Logan. You'll guess because I said it. But
yeah,
there's more for both of us, I think.
Whenever anybody encourages us to be fucking idiots on the internet, we just have a hard time saying no.
Right. Exactly. So that's it. Abby, what about you? What'd you get up to in Flesh and Blood this week?
Is everybody ready? Because I did something. So
I'm so excited.
No, so I've played a couple games on Talshire. I've been looking for the past like 3 or 4 days, trying to put together deck lists that I want to play for the Brawl weekend, and kind of figuring out if I'm gonna go the route that everybody assumes I will, or if I'm going to play something different. So I've been looking at that. I played a couple games. So that trend will continue up through Brawl weekend. So don't worry, everybody. The what's the word I want? The drought is over. I have played again.
The crops were very starved.
Yeah. Yeah, the overpays.
The overpays high, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God. That's
all right.
Fantastic.
So let's get into it. We had our BS announcement, came out last week. So highlights in Classic Constructed, Pulse of Eisenloft is banned. And then in Blitz, Bloodsheath Skeleton is banned. Mask of the Pouncing Lynx is banned. Stormstriders is suspended until the next BS announcement. And Sonata is moved from suspended to legal. And then in Ultimate Pit Fight, Yorick is banned in official events.
So Blitz had some movers and shakers, which we can talk about separately, obviously. But we talked about last week, Logan, that we didn't want to see anything. If there was gonna be anything, I think this one was fine.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So I've started to, before the announcement, I had started to kind of wander into this spot where I felt like Oakenold was a trap. And it largely because a lot of times, especially early, you can just take an Oakenold and it's fine. Like you lose 2 cards, you block with one, you arsenal the other. You know, you get time locked or whatever. So you block with a card, you're gonna lose 2, you arsenal the other one, and that's totally fine early in the game, and you just kind of weather it through. And it takes setup, right? But the payoff, that the reason that like that trap was always worth doing is because sometimes you would have a 3-card hand that you still got to fuse an Oakenold. And that's really good. Like, that's incredible. And sometimes a 2-card hand if your Oakenold is arsenaled and you have a blue and the pulse in hand. So you had a lot of those instances where that became the reason. So the announcement, I know they talked about shaving percentage from Oldhim, which is fine. I don't have anything against that, but I think it might shift the deck a little bit more than people think. I know that Michael Fang is still on a fucking heater with the deck, and Pulse of Eisenloch be damned, he is not putting it down. So there's that, and well, he's just, again, if you're just gonna win with the damn thing, just win with the damn thing. But I'll be curious to see if there's more, like, you see more Endless Winters popping up and more of the, like, a more ice focused Oldhim deck in a lot of ways. And granted, a Terra Sundered Oakenold is still quite difficult to deal with and does roughly the same thing. So it's not like Oakenold, it's not like a 3-for-7 is bad, right? Like, that's just not bad on rate. But I don't, like, there is a cost that you can't set it up quite as well as you used to be able to with this single card to fuse with. So I think there will be some movement in the deck. I don't think that it's a sea change. It's largely much ado about nothing, but it will make the Oldhim deck a little bit different, and I think that that's not bad. I think that opens up the what's the best deck discussion a little bit more, which is probably good for the format in general. But ultimately, I think that it's a shave of percentages either way, and while it is a big deal and it does change things a little bit for the format, it isn't earth-shattering, tectonic plates moving. I would make a hurricane joke.
Still legal.
Yes, thank you. I would make a hurricane joke. However, I'm pretty sure that'd be insensitive. So we're gonna just move on. What do you think?
I would agree with you that if one were to make a hurricane joke, it would be insensitive.
Agreed.
Great.
Also, in addition, I forgot to bring this out. They did put in this BS announcement, they updated the card legality for Blitz and Classic Constructed. Classic Constructed is only adult heroes, and Blitz is only young heroes. That is official now.
Oh yeah, that's actually a big deal that I think
they did ban 30
overlooked.
Cards.
Yeah, I think in their head they were always banned, and then someone at
New Zealand Nationals
was just like looking at, somebody at LSS was like, hey, this guy played Young Prism, like, let's look at the rule book and make sure this is allowed, and we'll just issue a correction, like let people know. And they're like flipping through the rule book and they're like, no, we need to actually ban these, which is even funnier just because there's always one guy that points out the corner case and everybody kind of shrugs them off. Somebody in that office has definitely said they're going to try to play young heroes in Classic Constructed. And someone went, no, they're not. It's not allowed. And that, by the way, is how corporations put out awful things that you think are stupid. And you go, how did no one catch this? One guy probably did. But
who's going to voluntarily start at 20 health? That's fucking madness.
Exactly. They laughed at the guy that said, hey, Prism would still be pretty good at 20 health, So it's actually probably the most impactful change to Classic Constructed, to be honest. I don't know.
I don't think that that's true. However, it does kind of destroy some of the dreams of people who have been trying to make fetch happen with like playing Kasai and playing Prism and playing these other like young only heroes that are young only, and then heroes that have living legend but can play the young ones in Classic Constructed. Is kind of removing that little piece on there. Like, no, we're not doing this.
Sure, that's fair. Yeah, I think whenever you hear people talking about, I was testing Young Prism for Worlds, this was probably significant enough to at least bring up, and I'm glad they did, because I really don't want to live in that world. Like once Prism is LL'd as an adult, I would rather her just be LL'd.
Done with her.
I don't want to live in that. Like that feels stupid to me to let that happen. So I'm glad that they fixed that.
They also banned the mentors at the same time because they're young only, so can't play mentors either.
Oh sure, because you have to have the young version of X in your deck to play them. Sure, that makes sense.
Corner case. You brought up corner case, and I was just like, that's about as corner case as it gets, I think.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like, oh, you really want to play Minerva Thermos or whatever the hell her name is, so you play Young Dory.
Sure. That's close.
Yeah. You play Young Chain so you can get that Lord Sutcliffe value.
There you go. It's in my queue, but I don't know why. No, it's not. It was in an earlier edition in my cube when I had chain, and
it
then
blocks
it
for
was
3.
oh, nobody wants to play this card. Yeah. Blitz is really interesting.
Boy, howdy.
They clearly wanted to shake up before Worlds. They clearly want people to test this format before Worlds. My only gripe is they use banned and suspended in interesting ways. I feel like there could be a world we see Bloodsheath Scaletta come back. And I see a world where we see Stormstriders will come back as it is suspended. But the ways that they've wrote this make it seem like that there is no avenue ever for Bloodsheath Scaletta to come back because it's banned. And that's just an interesting distinction that they've drawn. So I don't know. I don't think too much about these changes. What do you, other than it's definitely going to change the game? What do you think?
Yeah, they call out the interaction of Vexing Quillhand with Bloodsheath Scaletta, just as a, it's a way to just reduce attack costs and kind of unfair in an unfair way. Okay, like I'm fine with that. That's totally understandable. The Stormstriders, what is the world that Stormstriders comes back? Because you probably need both Kano and Icelander gone in Blitz in order for that to be safe. So
yeah, I think so.
Why do they really want the Emperor to have Stormstriders eventually, like 2 years down the road when Icelander and Kano are gone? Or what's the deal here? Like, why aren't we just banning it?
Yeah, that's like honestly one of the points of my, like, they are clearly trying to distinguish between their banned and suspended list. I just don't know what.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, because like if Bloodsheath Scaletta is banned, it will remain banned after Viscerai LLs, or Viscerai's already LL'd.
Right.
What's the other chain?
Briar.
So like Briar. So after those are LL'd, it's not coming back. But after Stormstriders is powerful regardless of what wizard is here. So in the same way that Bloodsheath Scaletta is. So I don't understand the difference. Like I don't know. I feel like the banned and suspended thing means nothing. If only to just say, hey, when we suspend a card, in our mind right now, there's a way for us to envision it coming back. But they didn't tell us that, right?
No.
Like they said until the next one. And I don't know. I don't know what that is. Yeah, like it's November 9th, but like what,
I have no idea.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make a ton of sense just as a general thing that we have, like Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. That card is fucked from the word jump in Blitz.
Yep.
I 100% get banning Mask of the Pouncing Lynx.
Yep. Get out of here. Yep.
They pointed out very well that this card represents 25% of your opponent's health.
Yep.
And that's the floor for that card.
Going to get a Lava Burst is gross in Blitz, right?
Going and getting a Spring Tidings is gross.
Sure.
Going and getting, even you have an option. Like if you're high on the chain, but all this shit is hit, go get Salt the Wound. If you're high on the chain, but they blocked a bunch of it, go get Lava Burst. Either way, you're gonna it's a bullshit amount of damage in a low health format. Like that totally makes sense to me. Like, yeet, get that the fuck out of here. Stormstriders also represents probably a quarter of your opponent's health. Like,
yeah.
Can we just say no and just not think about this ever again in Blitz?
It will slow the format down a lot. Yeah. And CC, what's 5 life, right? Like,
right.
I'm not blocking anyway.
I mean, yeah, we're playing CC. Who blocks? Oldhim.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Yeah, it's the only hero, right? So, I do not understand the justifications for the differences. They got it right with Mask of the Pouncing Lynx, and maybe, I don't know, like maybe Bloodsheath Scaletta is just banned and I can shred my copies, but
please don't.
I don't believe that. Yeah, right. But like, I don't believe that it is. Right? I believe we'll see it again someday.
I do like them. I do like them saying, okay, we're going to ban this, so we're going to bring Sonata.
Yes, this is very good.
That's totally reasonable. Yes. I do. This line is the one that gets me where it talks about the line before this talks about there is no opportunity cost to having no cards left in hand to defend yourself when Stormstriders killed the opponent at instant speed. And then the next line is, despite this fact, Striders is an iconic part of the Wizard toolkit and one that we don't necessarily want to say goodbye to forever.
Yay.
Da fuck.
Yeah, I don't. That's a bad gaming experience, regardless. Like, if you're going to say that, like, hey, there's no opportunity to do anything and just die is a bad gaming experience, what world does it come back in? Like, that will be true as long as there is a wizard in the format.
The nukes start flying and they'll unban everything. Maybe that's it. Maybe they'll unsuspend everything if that happens.
And here's the further, I don't want to keep kicking the horse of the point we've been making, but they say that their philosophy is to use the ban and suspended list liberally for Blitz to flux cards in and out of play. And so in and out of play is a couple of definitions. By banning some, you are elevating some cards that are already legal, but it also has the more on its face definition of removing Bloodsheath Scalata, putting Sonata back in. So what is being banned in Blitz if not just being really suspended? You know, like, and I'd be fine if they said Bloodsheath Scalata is banned or is suspended until further notice. Or we'll check in again at the next ban and suspended announcement, like they did with Stormstriders. So
well, I think one of the things I liked is when they said suspended until this is gone.
Yes, that was also good. Here's clearly the scenario that we think is a problem. Let's fix that.
That's just a good use.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Abby, this picture, your Fi and your Era deck horse a little bit. Where you been thinking about Blitz since you've been testing Blitz decks out in past 4 or 5 days?
I mean, I've just been looking at the usual, but I should probably look at something outside of Ninja just to broaden my horizon, because that's all I have played recently. So
sure,
right. I don't think you're wrong to play Ninja though.
No, it's just so much fun. I just love it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's an efficient game plan.
It was good before Mask.
Yeah,
like, it doesn't need Mask of the Pouncing Links to function.
Right.
I don't know that I've ever played a game with. Maybe.
Given the amount of games you've referenced on this show since Uprising has came out, my guess is that that was Everfest. So
it was Everfest.
Yeah, I mean,
it was considered a Benji card, honestly. Like at the start, it wasn't until Fi came around that it really picked up steam in non-Benji decks.
Yeah, just being able to go get a chain finisher was.
Yeah, because Ira was always threatening Mask of Momentum triggers, and that makes that deck hard as fuck to block.
Right. It's very inefficient to block a Kadachi, right?
Yeah, it gets up to utter nonsense now with Double Strike too. It just makes it way more uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yes. The Yorick thing's hilarious. Imagine sitting down at a tournament and having to shuffle your shit in with 4 other people's shit. Like, that's a nightmare, and I think it's so funny. But I am I like that they did that, obviously, because that thing I just said is an actual nightmare, but it's fucking hilarious. Like,
I do choose chaos on a regular basis, so that was always on my radar of things to do, and now it is no longer on my radar of things to do. So I will just hug my Shiana close at night if I'm going to mean, and that's it.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, people in every BNS announcement come out and go, "Oh, my favorite hero is dead now," or "My favorite hero this," whatever. Just like, when you play with your friends, you can play with whatever the hell you want, man. Like, the thing for York says unofficial events only. That's true for all of these bans and suspensions. If you don't like it and you're playing with your buddy and you don't care about the tournament scene, maybe just play what you want, man. Like, it's really fine.
Shuffle up some Drone Brutalities. What could possibly go wrong?
They're not even the best card in my cube, man. Like, fuck them. You know? They have never won a draft of the decks they've been in. So
hold on. You're saying that of the one time your cube has ever been drafted.
My cube's been drafted more than once, you fuck.
At least 3.
It's been at least 3 with a couple of
at least 3.
Yeah.
All right.
It's never won it. Yeah.
It's never been in a deck that won.
It's never been in a deck that won.
We need to educate people on how to play Drone of Brutality.
The decks that have won did not have Drone of Brutality in them. Yeah.
Never pitch it. That's it.
Yeah.
Those are the rules. Never pitch it.
It'll get to the bottom of your deck, but in a different way.
Yep.
Anyway.
So that is this BS announcement. The next one will be November 9th, so right after Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So more to come on that. In
but the
addition,
format for the brawl is set. That's important.
That's right.
Yes.
In addition to the BS announcement, we also have an errata bulletin that came through.
Oh boy.
Logan, you want to walk through that?
Yeah, this is kind of straightforward. Shit works.
Yeah.
That's your bulletin. I don't know how a better way to put this, but they did just some functional errata. So the things that before did not work the way you thought they would work now work the way you think they would work. So you can't as an example, rune chants. They happen. Like if you attack, it happens. Right?
Yeah.
It says when you play an attack action card or activate a weapon, destroy this. Simple now. There's no
works the way you think it should. Yeah.
Layering when you're attacking an aura or something else, or something gets destroyed before the attack layer resolves or anything else. No, this happens. No bullshit. This happens. Same thing with Quicken. A Quicken token no longer can just be, shut off by something getting destroyed in the attack layer. Mm-mm. No. We now Quicken token just grants go again. That's it. The other big ones were Phantasmal Footsteps. Happens when defending, not at the close of the combat chain. So you can't shrink an attack that's defending that Phantasmal Footsteps is defending to get out of it. Like if you use Footsteps to block a 6, Footsteps go bye-bye.
Right. Because the gameplay action would be block with Footsteps and then Blinding Beam or something to reduce its attack. Right. And then when it checked at the end of turn, it would not be blocking a 6. That is the thing that is fixed now. It becomes a when it is defending trigger. Which is
same thing with Zephyr Needle.
Yep.
So when Zephyr Needle is defended by a card with D, wow, they make that D pretty pronounced, greater than Zephyr Needle's P. Okay, weird flex. Destroy it when the combat chain closes. Done. We did it. We don't no more notes on this. No more cheesing the shit out of things to make it happen. I think that also works, and the other one was the duration of Blossoming Spellblade's effect, which whatever. But
yeah, that was less of functional errata and more of a clarifying errata, from what I understood.
Yeah. But basically, the things to really focus on with this errata announcement is shit works the way you think shit should work.
Yes. This is just when they wrote these cards, when they first made the game, they didn't think about the interactions they think about now and needed to clarify. Or it was just bad drafting and they figured it out. Right?
They didn't think that horrifying pendants would be playing this game and judging it at a high level. However, horrifying pendants abound do play this game and judge it at a high level.
Yeah, card players in general love nuance. Despite being awful at expressing it, they love it. And so this fixes that. Oh, also you can't steal your opponent's cards now.
Oh, right, that too.
So the bottom of so the phrase "your deck" has been universally errated to be owner's deck. So, for example, if a card says "put this card on the bottom of your deck," it actually says "put this card on the bottom of its owner's deck." So you just can't steal your opponent's shit anymore, which you never were able to anyway. No. But that's how Magic worked. Like cards can't go into private zones that you don't own.
Right.
But now Fab has caught up to the wording that on the cards correctly. So
right.
16 or so cards that matters too. So.
Is it that many?
3, 6, 7, 10, 13, 16. Yep.
Oh shit.
Cards like Salvage Shot, Timekeeper's Whim, Warmonger's Recital, Overloop, Evergreen, Cognition nodes. So
gotcha.
Anything that references your deck.
Timekeeper's Whim. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. Like if it's played, put it on the bottom of your deck is what it said. Yeah. And now it says put it on the bottom of its opponent's deck. Yeah.
Of its owner's deck.
Owner's deck, excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
Yep. That's the big deal.
Right. And that's been Errata Corner.
Yay.
That's right.
We hate erratas, but these are good ones because they clarify what we all thought they should be.
That's right. We will link the article in the show notes so you could read through all of it, should you be so inclined. Moving on, we are at the start of spoiler season. Well,
Boo.
Kind of.
Yeah, Jordan.
So
Boo.
we had 2 spoilers come out, and then we don't have any scheduled until the end of October. So don't worry, Jordan.
God.
So
all
right. So we had 3 cards spoiled this week, right? So we have
2.
Merciless.
At least 2.
3.
Yeah, Merciless. It's 3. Merciless Battle Ax. It's a warrior weapon. Base attack is 3. Once per turn action, pay 3 attack. Whenever it attacks, if its base if its attack is greater than twice its base, the attack gains overpower, which is this can't be defended by more than 1 action card.
This card is fun. I like this card a lot. I like the overpower mechanic a lot as to differentiate from dominate.
It's fixed dominate.
Yeah. I think it's definitely what dominate feels like it should be. Keep in mind that this has to be greater than twice its base, so it has to be 7 or more.
When you attack with it, it has to be 7.
It has to be 7. You can't attack and then pump, right?
Right.
I wish that they would just. Is there? The reason the base word exists is because the base does not change. I wish they would just say 7 on the card. I'm sure that there is a world where they could print a card that alters the base of a card, but that would fundamentally not be the base of the card then, you know what I mean? Like the base of the card is the number printed on the card, and since that number is fixed, surely we can just say 7. Because if they give this -2 before you attack for whatever reason, its base is still 3. And like it still needs to get to 7. So I think like having to just do this, like you do the math once, it's 7. But surely someone's going to go, all right, attack you for 6, it has overpower. And you're going to have to go, it's not greater than, you're going to have to look like an asshole while you explain to this guy how like greater than or equals works, right? So like.
How to explain base math concepts.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he's trying to use like caret equals and you really just use open caret. Like, like. So all my programmer friends will like that one.
Yeah, I love that. Like I am actually, no notes. Well done.
Put a 7 on the fucking card. I guess like. If its attack is 7, like
7 or greater,
7 or greater, yeah, that'd be fine. I guess like I imagine the world where they say, hey, put a sticker over the 3 and it becomes a 4.
Damn it! Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, they like James White fully embraces WotC and starts putting stickers on cards.
Or he gets offered $700 million from WotC to sell the property, and then WotC's like, stickers, bitches.
God, 700 million I would sell in a heartbeat if I'm just
in a heartbeat. I would not even be mad at James White for selling it for $700 million.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy New Zealand now.
Yeah, it's not like not worth 700 million, like that's nuts. That'd be awesome. Yeah, so I like this card. I think this card is sweet just from like what it does. I like overpower a lot. I just put 7 on the card. Like,
so there is a distinction between the concepts of sweet and the concepts of good.
Sure,
many things that are not sweet are good. Sink Below is not sweet. Sink Below is good. This is Merciless Battle Ax. This is a Moneyball meme on a card. It is quite sweet. It isn't good unless they print a bunch of things that just give +4 to weapons to axes.
Yeah,
that cost like 1.
Yes.
Or 2, right? And we also don't, and I'm sorry, unless we get this, I'm going to be utterly pissed. We don't have a fucking pummel effect for axes. We need the axe. We need the axe version of either pummel or razor reflex. My thought was a card that costs like 3 that gives +5/+3 and if it's an axe or a rod, a polearm, a halberd, whatever. And then if it's a card with something dark side, like whatever you want to set the category as, it gives it plus and overpower.
Okay.
So something along those lines. So we have our axe version of pummel or our axe version of razor reflex.
Sure.
Then we can talk about this being potentially good. Right now, it's sweet.
That's an important distinction.
Personally love this dark mode card. I'm a big fan of the dark.
Oh, the Marvels?
The black background with the white text. I love that. I think it looks very nice.
They look great. I've heard a lot of people complaining that they're too dark, and I'm like, no,
no,
they are not.
Absolutely not. They look stunning.
Yeah,
they look stunning. All right, do one of you want to do the next one, or do you just want me to read all 3?
You are very good at reading.
Okay.
It's a compliment.
No, it is.
I said
it's
okay.
Just a funny compliment. It's just a funny compliment.
All right. We have Hanabi Blaster. Is that
Hanabi?
Hanabi. Okay. I'm good at reading, not speaking, folks. Okay. So once per turn action, remove 2 steam counters from it and attack. It has overpower. And the third time you play a card with boost each turn, put a steam counter onto the weapon. It is a mechanologist weapon, and its base is 5 attack.
Pew pew.
Pew 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 pew. The gun subtype, which will become relevant. It's also less pew pew because it is a 2-handed gun, so it's more like
boom. Yeah.
Yeah. This is an Americanized gun. Yeah.
This is a Winchester.
Yeah, exactly. Getting to see that overpower mechanic that I think is really cool. I like the way that this will function in these dash decks. I don't know if it'll be good, but I think it's a fun. I think it's a fun way for the card to work in these dash decks that want to finish with an attack.
It is a chain-ending monster.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a 2-beer show.
It is definitely, lava burst for your mechanologist friends, but it's only every other turn.
Right.
So that's, that is something to think about.
Easier to gameplay around.
Unless there's a card that's coming down the pike that, adds steam counters to things, which, okay, if we're doing that, please don't. But if we are doing that, please make something happen that we can deal with them easier. Thanks, bye. I don't think they're doing that, but in this case, every other turn, if you're in a boost deck, getting just to CAC for 5 feels pretty good in general for, the low price. And if you think that they still have equipment or whatever, you can just let this sit with counters on it.
That's true.
For the time, it's like, you used up your equipment now? Okay, shoot you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually pretty neat because unlike other mechanologist equipment, this does not limit the amount of counters it can have. So,
right.
You can put as many steam counters on this as you want, as you have dice. Which is actually, I didn't notice that. That's very unique.
Yeah, it's very unique. Actually, and very different.
You can borrow dice from your neighbor if you run out. Actually,
don't do that. I don't. No. My hatred for dice borrowers. I think I've gone into this on this show.
Bring your own shit. Yeah.
Bring your own shit. Every
Can I borrow your dice? No.
Every fucking time. It's like, so people, friends, community, fappers. I have a little bit of obsessive compulsive disorder. It's not a ton. It's just enough to make me seem crazy at times about things that I shouldn't be crazy about.
Sure.
One of them is dice. I have a container of dice. It holds X amount of dice. If that no longer is holding X amount of dice by the time I'm going to put the cap back on it and put it back in my bag, I will throw the entire container away. It's gone. It's dead to me.
Yep.
This no longer exists in my mind. I had to go when I played Magic. Magic players were the fucking worst. Every single time, they wouldn't even ask. They would just reach and grab dice. And eventually it got to the point that I believe it was Brad Nelson, but I could be wrong. Reached over to grab one of my dice, and I impulsively just slapped his hand like he was a fucking third grader in Catholic school.
Shit.
I'm like, no, you don't get to touch my shit. No. He's like, oh, I didn't know. And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean you didn't know? You play this game. You play this game at a professional level. Bring your fucking own shit.
Also, you're an adult and you don't know that you can't touch people's things without asking? I don't know you, man.
And then he's like, can I borrow a dice? I'm like, no, get your own.
You've lost that
done at that point. Yeah. And the funny part is, if you would have asked to borrow a dice, I always kept a set of dice in my bag for people to borrow and then give back to me. Dice that I thought were ugly, so that if I had to throw them away, I wouldn't feel bad about it.
It's not the end of the world. Right.
And all he had to do, and if it's not Brad, I don't remember for sure. That's just the name that's coming up. It was somebody that was well known. And so it was one of those where if they would have just asked, I would have said, hold on, I will get you your own set to use for this game.
Yeah.
No problem. But no, it was grabby McGrab hands. No, get the fuck out of here. I am not dealing with that bullshit.
It's just like objectively rude.
Yes.
Right? Like it's objectively rude. Anyway.
All right. Let's bring it back here. Yeah. Everybody please make note for the brawl and bring some die. And then the last card we have is Powder Keg. It's a blue, costs 0. It's a mechanologist item, and it's whenever a mechanologist gun you control hits, you may destroy Powder Keg and a defending equipment.
I'm gonna cosplay as this from people steal my fucking dice. But this is interesting because let's talk about guns. Not in an American sense. That's we're way past that.
Yeah, we don't talk about that here anymore.
No
problem. What do you mean?
Oh, okay. I'm gonna ignore that one.
It's a bait. I don't actually believe that.
Yeah. Oh, no. What's bait? That's bait. Let's talk about the fact that pistols in the mechanologist universe of metrics in Rathe are not guns.
They're not.
They're not. A pistol is normally a subtype of a gun.
Nope, not in this world, baby.
Not in this world. So your Teklo Foundry pistol is a pistol, not a gun.
Not a gun.
Now, we could see some errata around this. Who knows? They could say, yeah, it's a fucking gun. Or they could say, no, that's a pistol. And this is intentional. We don't know quite yet. But I lean to think this is intentional because plasma rifle is a gun. And Hanabi blaster is a gun.
Yeah.
But plasma rifle doesn't see much play. Teklo does. And
do you think we'll see an errata? I don't think so.
I think this is intentional.
Yeah.
Because this being a think about the summon of Exodia, right? That happens in those decks where you get induction chambers times like X and then plasma purifiers times X, and you're just shooting your gun a billion times. If you T-bone them first and then start doing that shit, Powder Keg does a thing.
Yep.
Now, the thing it doesn't do is block. But it's flesh and blood at CNCC. Who the fuck's blocking? Hold it. Yeah, that's it.
No.
You already know that.
Nobody that counts. Yeah.
Yeah, right. You go straight to the face. Everything, just take it. Unless there's an on hit that you care about, just take it. It's fine.
There you go. That is a wrap for spoilers until the end of the month. So Jordan, you're safe for a little while longer.
Like 3 weeks, buddy.
And then it's just the internet's unusable. I have to delete Twitter. I have the spoilers section in our Discord muted, but I have a note in my head that checks every day to go, all right, check that spoiler section because people like tag us in there.
Mute it?
What's that?
Then why mute it?
Well, because I don't want to like get so I get a notification from every channel in our Discord. It's the only Discord that I have that set for. But because I know that people tag us, well, like they're in our Discord because they like the community and they want to know what we think about stuff. And so like I do want to give that, like the pickle one I do not check.
I muted that fucker and I
don't know
check
why.
it unless
That's
someone
so
tags
ridiculous.
me. If I get tagged, which Greg, you're a dick.
Keep it up, Greg. We love it. We love it over here. Do it.
That's all I'm doing, and you start tagging me in pickle discourse.
Oh, is there some pickle discourse drama?
So Greg understood my methodology, and he also understood that if he just added me, like just at me in the pickle channel, it would then give me a notification. I would be like obliged, because now it's a red number on my phone, and you know how that is.
Sure. Yeah.
That I would be obliged to look at it, and it's nonsense and never relevant to me as a person. Like, Greg, are you tagging me just so I have to look at the fucking pickle channel? Maybe. If you did not make me sound like the silky, smoothest, buttery nonsense when I'm on Tommy's podcast, I would flush you down the fucking toilet without a second thought. Instead, okay, you get a couple. You get like 2.
You can suppress notifications, including mentions. I don't know if you want to do that or not, or if you were unaware.
I know I'm just painting a target on myself right now anyway.
That's right.
Like,
absolutely.
by right. This, like,
oh, for sure.
Yeah, well, hold on. So Pickle Posse at Logan Peterson.
Okay, dickbag. Let's. Oh, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
So that's the first time I've looked at that channel too. So all right, terrific.
That's great. All right, let's move on. So we have the Goliath Gauntlet getting ready to kick off. So this is being run by, our wonderful friend Flake, aka Matt DeMarco. So he's got 16 of the top players coming together for a tournament.
It's 2K, right? It's 2K.
Yeah, it's a 2K. Casual 2K.
So I'm gonna run through the list of people real fast. We have Bender, Rogers, Hamilton, Lonquist, Crute, Dale, Patrick. I don't even Majimbe.
Yeah, Caleb.
Folks, Fang, DM Armada, Red Zone Rogue, Patel, Horsepull, Pintor, and Van Sant. So they will be kicking it off. We have a copy of the bracket in our Discord. So you can take a look at that. It starts this week?
It does. I think games might be being played now.
Broadcasting on Thursday.
Yeah. They're being commentated over on the 983 Media YouTube channel and stuff like that. So check that out. We're actually going to be on a bracketology style show, which will be out probably by the time you hear this. Yeah.
With Pat Smashgood from the Combat Chain and Thomas Von Freshness of the Fresh and Buds podcast. Who else was on there? And then the 3 of us. And was there anybody else, or was that it?
Oh,
there was.
I don't know.
I think that's it. But either way, it'll be a lot of fun. They told me I'm allowed to drink while we're on the show. That's all I needed to hear. And so away we go. I will actually fill up the stein for this one rather than be drinking from cans like a pleb. I will pour up the stein and go back to stein culture.
I have some very easy people that were assigned to me for my segment.
Yeah, you sure do.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that. Abby actually got one that I wanted, so
I'm sure
Abby was assigned Eric Longquist, and I really want Eric Longquist, but
I'm just disappointed that I didn't get Pablo Pintor. I'm like heartbroken over it. I literally told Jordan, I was like, as long as I get him, it's fine, and I didn't, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I kind of wanted Tarek 2 belts, but I'm gonna be okay with what I have, because I have 2 people that, one of them I know personally a little bit and have hung out with, and they are great and a good time, and the other one is an actual machine from the future. So both of those seem like fun for me.
Yeah, so anyway, check that out when it comes out, because it'll be a fun edition. It's not in conjunction with them. It's just a fun, there's $2,000 in the line from a bunch of players, and we wanted to talk shop, run some brackets, and
we felt bad being excluded and so we decided to take this upon ourselves.
Stop it.
Flake, I know you listened, and so that's not true. It's just it sounded like something fun to add on to what you're already doing, which sounds great.
I do think it's interesting that who is included. There is quite a diversity of commentators, community members, as well as like top world talent. Mm-hmm. It'll be the upsets available in that are exciting.
Yes.
Exciting. So
yes,
like you have DM Armada and Red Zone Rogue meeting in the first round. If they beat one of them, will win their match, obviously. And if they beat Matt Folks or Michael Feng in the round of 8, that's crazy. That's some crazy. Shit.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm excited to talk about all this shit on with Pat and the Combat Chain folks and Bracketology, but just wanted to let you guys know that this exists as a product.
Yep.
Because people keep asking us to be idiots on the internet. Except for Abby, they ask her to be Abby on the internet, which is not an idiot. However, Jordan and I are fucking morons.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. Yeah,
1000%. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. We'll obviously put out some notification once our episode goes live. We have a new public community created format. It's called Clash. So let me give you the overview of the deck construction. So it's a young hero, 60 card deck. You have to do 40 in the main deck. Heroes, weapons, mentors, and hero specializations can be of any rarity, but equipment and cards in your deck can only be rares and commons. 2 copies of each unique card allowed, and it's 30 minutes plus 5 per round, best of 1.
Yeah. Yeah. It follows the commoner ban list.
It's kind of just better commoner in a lot of ways, because you're enhancing what can be done in a commoner deck. So like, as an example, you can play Kasai, you can play Blood on Her Hands, Centauri Sabers, but you can't play like the busted Courage of Bladehold shit. So like, you can't just like set up this one turn where everything costs nothing and go off. Like, that's not something you get to do in this format. But you can still build a very good deck with this hero. I think that's part of it. You know, Kano, you can build a very good Kano deck, but there's no Storm Striders. Well, there wouldn't have been anyway. And you're limited, like no Aether Wildfires or what's the other dumb fucking thing? You can play Blazing Ether, but you can't. Is that Lesson in Lava a Kano specialization or no?
Lesson in Lava, FabDCG. Let's find out. I actually don't know. I don't think so. It is. Well, fuck it is. All right.
So you can play Lesson in Lava and Blazing Ether.
There you go.
But you can't play Aether Wildfire.
Yeah, this is interesting. This was designed by Ethan Van Sant, by the way, in conjunction with a bunch of people that he thanks. We'll link to the rule sheet in the description of this show. But yeah, this is interesting. This will be worth building some decks for. One of the things that's challenging about Commoner is that it's hard to get people on a path to upgrade their decks in an intelligent way. There is a gap between Commoner and Blitz that's actually pretty challenging. From you can only use common cards and below, to now you need these legendary equipment to step into your Blitz Knight, and that is the biggest jump on the ladder, probably because of the equipment. The equipment jump from the jump from Blitz to Classic Constructed is not as high as the jump from Commoner to Blitz, in my opinion. I think people could disagree with me on that, but having access to like legendary equipment and stuff like that is like the cost intensive part of the mainstream constructed formats, not the main deck cards. So providing a step up from Commoner to this format is really nice. That doesn't do anything to get you closer to Blitz, but it's at least a step up in the right direction. I don't know. Does this sound appealing? Do you think this is something we could build decks of?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely, something that we could do, and I agree that I think it makes it a little easier to get people in. It does call out. It currently follows the commoner ban list plus Drone of Brutality and Duskblade, and Living Legend
Yeah.
is not in effect for Clash, so you can play
whatever heroes you want or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that is pretty awesome that they're following that, and maybe they'll make changes to that as it goes forward. With it being a community format, sometimes you get faster response times. But
Right.
I don't know, Logan, do you think you'll see any Clash at your local armories?
Yeah, we'll play it. I mean, our community here is about like doing anything.
Gotcha. Yeah,
So
you guys do experiment.
We do. We are a little bit mad scientists when it comes down to it. And so that's certainly a piece of it. And with this sounds like a mad scientist type of format, right? Where you get to just like kind of do a bunch of wild shit with cards that people don't necessarily think about. Because you can't do the normal type of stuff you'd be doing with your rares and majestics, and very, very narrowly the equipment suite is probably what makes this the most intriguing to me. Just not having tunic, not having skull cap or crown, not having
Yes,
either any of the crowns. Christ, everything named crown is a fucking problem.
sure,
But
sure.
I just like stopped to think. I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably say whether crown of seeds or no. I mean, them, fuck it. I mean them both. No mask of momentums in ninja or pouncing links in ninja. They have to play something different, but they can play
They can
breaking
play more
scales
straight
still.
up. Yep.
Yeah, but they can still say play breaking scales and Snapdragon scalers, right? Like, so it's a very interesting way to build through things. And I love that the community is coming up with this shit. Like when either with its Clash or like the historic format that I talked about before, or any of this stuff. I think it's really great when the community is so engaged that they just want to come up with new ways to play the game.
Definitely agree. Community made
Love
things
it.
are great.
Speaking of community, we are 2 weeks out from the Brawl/Battle Harden here in Columbus. So it starts Friday, October 21st. We will have the Super Armory. It will be at Beyond the Board in Dublin, Ohio. It
Is
is
that sold
Blitz.
out? Is that sold out?
It might be. I can put out a ping to Flake or not Flake. Who the hell runs that?
Teague.
And
Jeez.
see what he says. Yeah, let me put a ping out to him. But go ahead.
They
Ed,
are
sorry.
not the same person.
If they are not sold out, you will want to pre-register. The event is capped at 40 people. That starts at 6:30 at Beyond the Board. On Saturday, we have the Battle Hardened 10K event. It is classic constructed. The doors open at 8, player meeting at 9:30, and round 1 begins at 9:35.
Hold on, Abby, one second. How many Ks?
10.
10 Ks.
10 Ks?
10.
How many
10.
Ks are battle hardens normally?
I have no idea. 2?
Ks.
I think there's 2 Ks. So this is 5 times the Ks.
This is an absurd amount of Ks, to be honest.
It's like a giant amount of Ks.
And there's a K for cosplayers.
Oh, there's also Ks for cosplayers.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. Like NFL would use that as like a marketing campaign.
They would.
Ks for cosplays.
Because they're fucking terrible.
Yeah, they're bitches for alliteration too. Like over there at the NFL. Are. Yeah.
Sorry, Abby.
No. Sorry, Abby.
Can I continue?
Yeah.
If you must, yeah.
Okay. Deck lists are required, so make sure you have one or get there early enough to fill one out. Top 8 will be on Sunday. On Sunday we will also have Team Sealed. That is 9 o'clock doors, 10 o'clock player meeting, 11:30 is round 1 start time. Obviously, you'll have to put your decks together in addition to that. We have a cosplay contest that will be paying out $1,000. That will be on Saturday. We will also have a speakeasy party on Saturday night, and we'll have a win a VIP ticket Blitz event and a win a VIP ticket Ultimate Pit Fight event. Both of those will be happening on Saturday.
I might honestly just do that stuff. Like, there's so much cool shit going on, man. I don't know. Like, I might fire up an Ultimate Pit Fight deck, which sucks because I was gonna bring Crack Bobble Yorick. I was gonna do Crack Bobble Yorick because I finally have all the holiday Crack Bobbles. Fuck! Like,
got him.
I was so excited. Yeah, I might still bring something, some kind of other trolley deck. I need to get a Go Bananas still.
Oh, I do too. Oh, god damn it.
Yeah. What do you think those cost right now? Let's take a little peek.
3-ish?
In the dark.
I don't know what that is.
300 is my guess.
TCG Player is giving bad
Go
vibes to my browser
Bananas.
right now. Go Bananas.
God, if it's in the 2s, I might just snap it off.
It is a promo only card, Abby. It's not in the 2s, friend. That was very early. It is $350. Is the cheapest one on TCG Player. Yeah. For people that don't know, Go Bananas is name an action card, open and reveal a booster pack of Flesh and Blood, and put all cards with the chosen name into your hand. If the booster pack does not contain a card with the chosen name,
repeat this process.
So yeah, you just like go buy a box of. Like, you have to bring a box of cards.
You have to bring a box to start ripping, baby.
You know, and like you could play the fun game of like make your opponent sit there and watch you open an entire case. Yeah, like, you know, I'm gonna name what's like the fucking like crown of Providence, and just like crack cases, or like, well, you know, it is a maze. So you can stop whatever you want.
I win this fucking game if I have a Korshman play.
Oh my god, you holy shit, that's insane. 350 is not terrible. It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot. But I like to feel like I have tried my hardest to get the coolest shit. I would feel like I need, like, I just completed my set of cold foil Kadachis. So I have the promo, cold foil, the crew cold foil, and the XXX token, and an alpha token. So I have, I think, all of the Kadachis that have been printed. So it's now, and I have rainbow foils, sorry, as well from crew. So now it turns into. I do think that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, you're fine.
No. I was gonna say, I think this is as cheap as it gets. So if you're wanting to do that, I don't think this gets cheaper.
That's like the entirety of my travel costs to San Jose.
Yeah.
Or I have a Go Bananas. Fuck it. Go Bananas it is.
I was gonna say, I've been on a card trip before. Like, what, you know, I've been to a card tournament. Like, you know, whatever.
It's like I was also Go Bananas. Yeah, I was also the idiot that I have cold foil Crazy Brews, the extended art.
Oh, gotcha. Did you buy those when they this round's on me when they spoiled that?
No, I bought them before then, I believe, or right around. I guess it was right around then, but yeah, it was. So like it was one of those where I was playing Crazy Brew and she on a money pile, and I'm like, this isn't money pile enough. I'm gonna go get these now, and so I hit up a very well-known Midwest Flesh and Blood collector, and when I ran into him in India, and I'm like, hey, do you happen to have these? He's like, sure. Like, made him an offer, and he's like, deal. Like, sweet. He's also who I got one of my Kadachis from, so.
Nice. Yeah. Quick update to what we just talked about. There are 4 seats left for the armory, super armory. So please, if you're like, we're gonna come to the super armory, we haven't pre-reg yet. There are 4 spots left, and by the time you hear this, there could be less because we're recording Sunday.
As of this recording, there are 4 spots. Left.
So please call in and get your spot. They don't even Beyond the Board doesn't charge you when you pre-reg for something. They just put your name on the top of the list, so like you don't even have to pay, right? Like just get your name on the list. Yeah, like you have to pay. It's $10. Yeah, when you get there. But if you're like, oh, I don't get paid till Friday, like put your name on the list. You know what I mean? Like you get your name on there. And then the top 8 for the brawl is on Sunday, but attendance dependent. They feel like they have enough time to put it all in one night. It just depends on how quickly Swiss goes.
Jordan. Mm-hmm. I would like to take home the team sealed crown this time.
Yeah, second place fucking sucks.
Yeah, the steak knives just weren't doing it for me. I need the Cadillac Eldorado. So
I get sad whenever I see my second place sleeves.
Yeah, I only play them in draft for that reason. Because
they're the backs for my equipment in my cube.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah. So I never see them because nobody ever addressed my fucking group.
See? Fucking, yep, knew it. Yep.
Anyway, sorry, Abby. I derailed you.
Nope. Just hate both of you. It's fine.
Whoa, easy there,
geez.
Texas.
Oh,
Hate
dude.
is a lot.
One game of Flesh and Blood this quarter, and you act like you're fucking shit. Okay, cool.
I mean, I'd rather you hate me than be indifferent towards me. So, thanks.
I don't know if I agree with that.
All right, we have 4 listener questions this week.
We own
First
property
one
together. I'd rather her be indifferent.
We're not the same. You're married to her. I live in Iowa. Like, go fuck yourself.
Anyway, sorry.
Okay, 4 listener questions. First one is from Fighting Walloon. We had a couple high-profile players after the U.S. Nationals / calling Charlotte take to social media to criticize their opponent and or judges after losing games. Do you think this is problematic?
No.
No. I think this is card players.
Yeah. I also think... Sorry, good.
People will see what they want to see sometimes, regardless if it's there or not. And every time that you hear somebody's narrative, you have to understand that there are always 2 sides to a narrative, and the actual truth of what happened, due to this fact that everything has a relative meaning, is somewhere in the middle. So when you hear about a high level player being called out for angle shooting or anything else that they do, it very well could have been that they were angle shooting. It also very well could have been that they weren't, and that it just so happened to have a bad look. Those things do happen. What you have to look for in these circumstances are patterns. When there are patterns to those behaviors, we have a problem. When you see people just kind of firing out criticisms that seem like one-offs, those aren't a problem.
No, I completely agree with you. I think when there are ascertainable, when there are actionable things to be learned.
Right behind you.
Can you see her?
Oh God, she's so.
Oh shit, she's
what
she's
a
going
tubbo.
nuts.
Yeah, going ham on that.
Girl. Yeah, she really is. Like, this table has been down here for a while, and it's like this wood table that she scratches at, and it's a miracle that table is still standing. There's like a toothpick holding it up.
Loves that table though.
She scratches the shit out of that table.
Has given it the business.
She doesn't scratch, like, she really doesn't scratch furniture. She has a scratching post that she uses all the time. But like the day that table came into the house, it was like never stood a chance.
Yeah, so back to Fighting Walloon's question, as long as there are actionable items in any like complaint, like I think the thing with Tyler Horsepool was talking about, like what is slow play? Do our rules make sense with slow play and with concessions? Those are actionable things to take from it. We've heard a lot of people complain about judges like overstepping like what we perceive to be the bounds of their authority and making games about them and not making it about being just unbiased tournament officials. Those things are all like, I'm pretty close to a free speech absolutist as you're gonna get, and I genuinely like that, and I don't think it's problematic. I think what, like Logan mentioned, we need to make sure that things are staying between the wickets in terms of like what's appropriate criticism and what's like, hey, this person fucking sucks. Like, okay, that stuff's inappropriate, and we need to like correct that as a community, but whether you agree or disagree with someone's take about like judge activity or slow play or concessions is irrespective from whether or not that they should be allowed to voice those concerns and like express them. I don't want to live in a game where like the game is bigger than any one voice. That sounds miserable to me.
And in case you're wondering, the Indian Premier League of Cricket is cranking up. Hence, we will start getting wicket references yet again.
Yeah, for sure. And well, the Cricket World Cup is actually happening.
Oh yeah, that is happening. Yep.
Yeah, we have a couple of months until the Indian Premier League, but Cricket World Cup starts next weekend, so I'm gonna we're gonna get a lot of wicket references.
I'm also a Mariners fan for the duration of the Mariners run.
Excuse you.
I'm a Mariners fan until
Absolutely
they meet the Guardians
not.
in the ALCS.
We are Guardians fans over here. Let's just
calm down for sure.
Nonsense.
That's in Ohio. And I will we stand Julio Rodriguez in this house. I'm sorry.
Julio Rodriguez is sweet. That being said, I will cheer the Mariners on until they meet the Guardians in the ALCS, and then I'm a Guardians fan. Then between the two, I'm forced to choose the Guardians. But anyway, yeah. Please criticize people. It makes them better.
Also, one of the things. The Astros? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Well, yeah, those two. Whenever these conversations happen and someone goes, do you think it's okay to criticize? Someone inevitably and in good faith, and like a bunch of people in good faith inevitably say, as long as it's criticism and not being mean. And of course, like that's never what we're talking about, right? Like we're not saying like go tell the judge to go fuck themselves, right? Like, unless you're arguing a ruling and you really disagree and you're 25 and that's what you think you should do.
I have examples. We have receipts.
I'm not saying that's been mean, but yeah, Logan would tell you that's been me. I couldn't remember. So yeah, like, of course, right? Like you should treat people with respect and like all that kind of stuff. But like, I also think people shirk a lot of good criticism because they want to call it disrespect or like non-critical when like, or like non-constructive, when in reality it's not true. You just didn't like being criticized.
Correct.
Right? So try to separate that from your mind. As people on video just saw a cat flash by and she's now like attacking my monitors with her head. But
Love it.
when I'm playing like League or WoW, I don't let her up here. Like I pick her up and throw her off. So the fact that she's been up here for 2 seconds has to feel like a win for her.
She's thrilled.
Like, I've beat him. Yeah, I've defeated him.
Yep.
So
yep. All right. Question number.
Sorry,
Logan. Anything else? Okay. Question number 2 is from Iron Mag 44. With the new set around the corner, what's the new generic legendary equipment? Also, what about the thought of a new generic weapon?
I like this question.
Too.
I was excited to see it.
Generally hate it, but I like.
It's about speculation, not about spoilers.
Right.
These are two different things.
Completely agree. That's why I like it.
I was giving you an out. But yeah, so I think that we are in line for a new generic piece of equipment. I think that generic legendary, I should say, because we already have 2. We have a tunic and we have Arcanite Skullcap, and we also have 3 Crown of Providence.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think that we really do need a arm piece that does something in the legendary slot. Honestly, Snapdragon Scalers kind of feels like it should have been a legendary sometimes. If the card had Defend 1 and Battle Worn on it, it would have been. So that's just a thing. But I'd like to see something in the hand slot, specifically because the hand slots in most cases, with some exceptions, Grasp of the Arknight is a thing. Bracer, the bracers in Warrior are good, but there's a wide open spot for there to be a very good hand slot in legendary equipment for generic that that can be battle worn, 1 with an effect, block 1 with an effect, and that would be perfectly acceptable. That just does a thing outside of that. So I think that's what I want to see for legendary equipment. Generic weapon.
Yeah, this one makes me nervous. I imagine we'll see the next generic legendary weapon will be very Shiana-esque in that it will be very flavorful. It'll probably be like the Emperor's weapon or like the Scroll of the Emperor or something. I think would be cool. But I don't think whatever it is, I don't think will be good. Because the price on that thing, the ability to get one would be tough. And that makes me nervous, especially in the weapon slot where if it's too good, it's gross. So
yeah, it has to be basically on the same power level as Talishar. That's kind of how you have to do things. You really can't just have a thing that is the best thing for every class to be doing. That doesn't make a ton of sense. We do need, in my mind, like a generic club or a generic what is the other things, like clubs and hammers, something that can get pummeled because you can raise a reflex at Talishar. So something that stays in that same flavor. Maybe it just doesn't do much. Attack for, it's 2 attack for 4, unless your opponent defends with a card from hand, and then it goes down to 2, right? Like,
yeah,
something like that, where it's just exactly fine. It's not great, but it's still randomly playable. I think
it's tough because will that feel worthy of the legendary designation? I feel like a card like that, you'll be like, yeah.
I don't
like
think you can do
Constella's level of like, Why is this legendary?
Yeah, I don't think you can do a legendary generic weapon. I think
that's powerful.
Right. Well, I mean, there isn't a legendary generic weapon, and Talishars are rare. So if you just did another one along that lines, because like in deference to Iron Mag 44, friend of the podcast, great human, he's asking about a new generic weapon in general because we only really have one, and I think getting something that is in the rare slot that is exactly whelming, not overwhelming, not underwhelming, just exactly whelming, would be totally reasonable.
Completely agree.
Yep.
That was a Clueless reference for those who don't know. Clueless.
I don't know.
As if.
Thank you.
Is that shitty movie you made me watch, Abby?
Okay, that is a classic.
That
I'm
is
gonna
a
need you to
fucking
calm down with
classic.
shitty.
You really need to check yourself, you motherfucker.
Is that the one where the girl's like really into her stepbrother?
That is Alicia Silverstone being very into Paul Rudd.
Yes.
Which is
very
reasonable.
Into Paul Rudd.
Yeah, being into Paul Rudd's not unreasonable, but when it's your stepbrother, it raises. Does she get stuck in the film?
There's an entire category of pornography that is devoted to this fucking concept, sir.
Again, no yuck and yums. I'm just making sure we're talking about the same teenage movie that greatly advanced that plot line for many people. I'm just making sure I have the right movie in my head. That's all.
Anyway, all right. Let's move on. Question number 3 is from Griddle Master. What would each hero's preferred mode of transportation be in our world? We're on Monarch this week. So we have, Jordan, are you listening?
I am.
Okay. We have Prism, Chain, Levia, and Sir Bolton. Just want to make sure you heard them before you started talking about a hero that was not.
I'm glad you did that because I forgot to pull Sir Bolton up. So.
Well, we already know that Chain's on public transit as it is part of the question.
Yes.
No arguments there.
Nope, we're good.
Sir Bolton takes a horse.
He seems very horsey. Prism probably takes very specifically the bus so she can read on her way to wherever she's going.
Yeah, she seems like she'd prefer the tube if the city she's in had the tube.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
Is she too good to take the bus or public transit?
It depends on the city. I think that there are cities that she Ubers in, but most of the time, if it's somewhat reputable, she will take the bus.
Gotcha.
I don't think she's a tube person when it is not like New York subway, but when it's
she's not riding the New York subway.
No, absolutely not. She's not riding the L in Chicago. She's not doing that.
Gotcha.
She will take, but maybe the London Underground is fine.
Sure.
So that's I think where she's at. Levia.
This one's interesting. There's not a lot of room for a demon woman in. She probably takes like SpaceX or something.
Is she just on a Harley? Just like
I could see a motorcycle.
A giant fucking chopper.
That's
cool. I could also see Sir Bolton on a motorcycle. To put it out there, I could see either of them.
I think Bolton's on like a Honda Goldwing, something that looks like it has some power and tries to imitate the power of a Harley, but just doesn't quite get there. And then Levia's on like some fucking chopper made of human flesh and bones that runs on the tears of toddlers whose parents have been killed.
How about one of the like the Mad Mexian like like monster trucks?
Yeah, right.
Like sure, similar vein. Sure.
She's literally Axel in Twisted Metal, where she just puts her arms in the axles of the wheels of the thing and just runs at people.
Okay, sure.
Like I could give her that.
There we go. And then question number 4: what American sports teams would these heroes be a fan of? Same heroes.
So is Levia then just a Raiders fan?
Yes.
Like specifically an Oakland Raiders fan though?
Specifically the Black Hole Oakland Raiders.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's kind of just like lost now that they've went to Vegas.
Yep.
But gotcha.
Yep. Bolton's probably a Browns fan, just very disappointed in how everything shakes out. Never can ever win enough. Can get to the playoffs, but just can't do anything with it.
Or you average 27 points a game for the first 4 weeks and are 2-3.
Yeah, 2-3 over the course of the first 5 weeks.
Because your defense just doesn't have hands. Yeah.
I mean, that Bolton doesn't have hands.
No.
I was gonna say it doesn't have a text box, but
that too.
Actually, yeah. Yeah, I have him generally as a disappointed sports fan, so that checks out. Chain strikes me as the guy that likes obscure sports, but not like cricket and F1, but like he really likes pickleball.
I could see Chain being a very big fan of Cornhole's organized play system, which is actually quite good.
Actually, is very interesting.
Yeah, I like Cornhole is kind of the pinnacle of OP right now, to be honest. So that's a thing. I could also see Chain, because of public transit, always like getting off at the stop where the minor league ballpark is in each town.
Sure.
And just watching minor league ball. I could see that's Chain's thing.
He would love to tell you how he knew about a guy when he was in AA.
Yep.
Right. Like, and the other part being that like Chain likes to watch sports, but doesn't want anybody to know that he likes to watch sports. So he goes to places where no one is, which is typically minor league baseball games.
Ure.
So that's where he kind of gets his enjoyment. So he's probably like a Las Vegas Area 51s fan.
Now, is minor league baseball in Iowa not popular?
It depends. So on the weekday games, you can just waltz in. The weekends, especially if there's like anybody in, like if it's a rivalry type of game, the stands are relatively full. If there is somebody that's like a name from the big club rehabbing, the stands are fucking packed. Like, the game is going.
Gotcha. Yeah, Clippers games, AAA teams here are very busy. The Mudheads and the Clippers. Our AA parks sell out. Dayton Dragons and Akron Rubber Ducks, they sell out as well. So it's very interesting because I hear that a lot. That like a lot of weekday games for teams not here are like very kind of just whatever. But we don't have games at Clippers games really where you can't find a seat. It's pretty busy.
I think
that the Guardians are more liberal with their send ups and downs because they're so close.
Right.
So we do just randomly get like a big rehab or something.
Yeah, I think with this time, like, so when it was Bryant, Baez, Contreras, that crew in Iowa, those games were fucking packed all the time until they got called up. Now when we get, I'm sorry to get into baseball talk on our podcast, but as soon as we get Pete Crow Armstrong and Miguel Amaya and Ed Howard and that group of people into the iCubs, we'll see that again, where it's just it's a hard ticket. And I'll just liberally use the brewery tickets that my buddy gets for free to go to those games.
I got Pete Crow Armstrong in a Dynasty trade, so pretty excited to have him on the.
Feels good. Yeah. Toolsy motherfucker.
Yeah, I was not a contender and got him and like a couple of other really good, like Pasquantino out there in Kansas City. Yeah, not a baseball pod, but
not a baseball pod.
Prism
likes golf. By the way. Prism likes golf.
Yes.
Prism loves golf.
Yeah, she likes to sit there and read books.
Yeah, it's easy and quiet. Every now and again, she has to look up, see where a ball landed. I mean,
I could see her being a big baseball fan too, but not the fan of the game, like a fan of like the world behind the game, like sabermetrics and baseball history. I feel like she'd be like really big into saber.
I feel like something, but I think it translates to tennis. I think that she sits at Wimbledon through every single set, every single weekend, with her nose in a book, or looking up like stats on volleys and kills and serves and stuff like that, and then really hones in as soon as we're in the quarters and semis.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Where the game itself is secondary. Like, yes. I like that a lot. Where like the games don't matter; they just build stats for later. I like that. Yeah, I like that. That I go. That's my relationship with baseball all the time, to be honest. But
I think a lot of people's, honestly.
Yeah, like I love the actual game, but I also love that. Hey, this game right now might not matter, but the one it matters later. I like that a lot. But
do you know what I like?
Patrons,
people subscribing to our Patreon.
Our Patreons. So shout out to our executive producers and up. We have May, Philip, Taylor, Ed, Josh, Kenny, Nick, Teague, Ben, Corey, Alan, and Michael. If you are interested in subscribing, you can go to patreon.com/flushandpod. We have 4 tier levels, and that will detail out what all of that looks like. As always, you can find us on Twitter at FlushPod. You can join our Discord. The link will be in the show notes. You can give us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. You can like and subscribe on YouTube. You can shoot us an email at fleshandpod@gmail.com. My personal Twitter is at AbbyD83. I just want to remind everybody that I still do not have a possum, and Jordan currently owes me 3. So.
Yeah, they're coming.
Allegedly. So if everybody could just bother him about it, that would be great. Other than that, we went apple picking this weekend. It was wonderful. I loved every second of it. I'm sure Jordan has a very different opinion of it. But it was a good time. And that's about it. The Guardians made advance in the playoffs, so baseball. I think I've tweeted 8 things and 7 of them have been baseball. So sorry, that's not flesh and blood, but we'll get there eventually. Logan?
You can find me at Logan Peterson on Twitter. You can also find me in the Flesh and Pod Discord. I am always trying to be active, and my DMs are open on Twitter in general. Please do not abuse that. And then also my DMs on Discord are open to anybody that I share a server with. So feel free to reach out and say whatever you need. Also, as a reminder to people, if you are a patron of Flesh and Pod, you are entitled to the Flesh and Pod card backs on Talishar.
Yeah.
So if you do need, and that's for every patron tier, so all 4 tiers. If you need help in getting those to show up, please send me a DM. I am more than happy to assist, and we'll get you set up to be representing this show and the fact that you are a proud fapper in the best ways possible. Jordan, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at I'm Jerman. Same thing as Logan. You can reach out to me there. You can reach out to me in Discord because my DMs are also open to people that I share a server with. I am tweeting a lot about sports right now. There's a lot of cool things happening in all the different leagues that I watch. World of Warcraft, Flesh and Blood, a lot of cool stuff is happening in the things that I like. So that's pretty exciting. I didn't hate apple picking. I just didn't like how pretentious this particular orchard was. We have gone to an orchard in the past called Lynn's, and it's very much like a family friendly. There's activities that you can pay to do while you're there, but it's very much an open farm, right? As apple picking oft is, and you pay for the apples that you buy on the way out. This place, you have to buy a bag of apples before you go in, and the line is also joined with the line where it costs $25 a kid or something to get access to the play areas of the farm. So everybody and their fucking kids are in this long ass line, and we spent more time in line than I think we did picking apples. But you get up there and you get up there and they just hand you a bag and you hand them the money or whatever. But the bags could have been spread out among all of the vendors and the entire. I was very upset with the organization. Basically, there was one point to buy bags for the entire farm, but there's 60 different people selling shit on the farm. Why couldn't all of them have sold bags? Anyway, there was one of the joys of apple picking is when you go apple picking, you just take a bite of an apple while you're walking around. Obviously, you can't just eat apples while you're out there. These things cost money. This is these people's livelihood. At Lynn's, the place that I like, the guy that sends you on your way after you ask what trees can we pick from, right? He's like, go down there, make sure you eat 1 or 2 while you're out there. That's fucking cool, right? This place, goddamn, had a sign that said, while we expect that sampling the fruit is an expected activity, okay? Or, yeah, is it anticipated activity?
Anticipated.
Abby? Anticipated activity. We ask that after you sample it once, you put it into your bag to be counted. They want me to take a bite of this fucking apple, which exposes the inside to the oxygen and ruins it, by the way. To put it in my bag because you gotta pay for it. So whenever of course, when you go back there, everyone and their brother is just taking bites out of the apples because we're not Neanderthals. And so I would just go, that person's doing an anticipated activity. And I would say it every time. Or we would grab a different apple off of a different tree.
Every
and bite into it and go, well, thank God this was an anticipated activity. I was so mad.
Every time.
Yeah.
I had a lot of doubts in my mind when you linked the concept of pretentiousness to apple picking. And yet,
Yeah.
You have described exactly pretentious apple picking.
Oh my god, yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, while we know that sampling fruits is an anticipated activity, I wanted to scream. Like, yeah.
You know, this is an anticipated activity. Me shoving this apple core up your ass. Did you not know that was anticipated? Because you should have.
Craziness to me. I mean, like, my biggest gripe, I could have forgiven a lot, is that if any of the 60 people that worked there that were selling things also could have sold me an apple bag. Like, we went up to some lady that's literally just sitting there at her stand that no one is buying anything from, and she has like the company shirt on. Like, she works for the yard. She's not like a random vendor. Like, she's, you know, it showed up on my credit card statement as like the Orchard, and was like, I was like, hey, can I buy like a bag from you? And she's like, no, you got to do that at the main shack over there. Like, why can't you hold bags? Like, I don't understand. Like, do they think you're gonna give them away for free? Like, holy shit. Like, I don't know. So I like going on dates with my wife. I like that. I like where we ate afterwards at like a small town like bar. I like that stuff. I despise pretentious apple picking.
I made a very delicious apple dessert though. So.
It's very good.
Is it a tart?
No, it's baked apples. No, it's baked apples with like a streusel top.
So like
it's very cobbler-esque. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure regional words just like describe it differently, but yeah, it's quite good.
That sounds great. I would eat.
Yeah.
10 of 10.
10
I had fun with the actual picking part, and I engaged in a lot of anticipated activities. When I say I said it every time, Logan, I said it every time.
Every time.
Guy, like, we walk 4 feet by and go, that guy's doing an anticipated activity. Like, and they look at me like, what the fuck, man? Like, don't talk to me.
Oh my god. All right, Abby, get us the fuck out of here, please.
All right. What a pleasure it has been. That's all we have for this week, and we will talk to you next week. Bye.